Now then, welcome to the latest edition of Red Army TV. Loads to chat about and two fantastic guests here in the snug at Yaff's Gaff. I've got Regga's very own Mr. Paul Burke, and from the 12th Man, I've got Mr. Steve Jackson. Fellas, good evening.
Good evening, mate.
Loads to chat about. Boro 1, Birmingham 1. Paul, I'll start with you. Started off well, didn't we?
We did start off well, and then we missed the penalty.
Well, we'll come on to that in a minute. Stop preempting. He loves preempting it.
Sorry.
But you are right. I mean, we missed the penalty. I want to chat about the guy who got us the penalty. 2 penalties he's got us since he's been at the club, Steve. Patrick Roberts. How special is he?
He's a special talent, isn't he? You can see why Pep Guardiola raves about him. It seems to have changed our attacking output a bit. The pace is all of a sudden there. And to see him go off last night was such a shame.
Yeah. Well, obviously we get the penalty, and like I say, he bears sin. Do you know what? He reminds me of, and I hate to say it because people will be sat at home thinking, we always talk about Janino at Middlesbrough Football Club, but because he's small in stature, low centre of gravity, he looks like Janino when he's on the ball, doesn't he? Like, bounds out, almost like what? Come on.
There's only one Janino.
Oh, come off.
No, sorry.
Anyway, we'll talk about the penalty. Obviously, Paddy McNair stepped up to take the penalty, fellas. First of all, Paul, I'll ask you, I know that in a game plan, Woody will have known who was going to take that penalty anyway, but was he the right man to take the penalty?
I think so. He's taken the last few, scored them. He seems to go the same way every time. It was a cracking penalty last night, but it was a top-class save.
Now, my thoughts, Steve, are this. You got young Lucas Metcher on loan from Man City, absolutely busting a blood vessel trying to score a goal for Boro to make a name for himself. And you've got Ashley Fletcher, who was on fire, really, scored every other game. 2 strikers on the pitch. And up steps Paddy McNair. Do we think the striker should have took responsibility there?
I thought Fletcher should have picked the ball up. I mean, he was down to take the penalty against Derby, wasn't he? Fair play when he backed off, said, no, Paddy's the penalty taker. You know, there was no Brit versus Grant. You know, no scraps, no nothing. It was... But yeah, I thought Fletcher should have picked that ball off. If he's confident enough, he's good enough to take that.
I just think with 2 forwards on the pitch, if you haven't got 2 forwards on the pitch, then, you know, but with 2 forwards on the pitch, especially, obviously, one's hungry, the other one is, you know, in form, really, in Ashley Fletcher. I just thought maybe Paddy McNair, I watched him walking up and I was thinking, I hope it racks the net off, but anyway, it wasn't to be.
It's double-edged, isn't it? Because if one of the forwards had a missed, people would be saying, oh, why didn't you let McNair take it?
Yeah.
So it's double-edged.
Fellas, bit of a stat for you. That was our 9th game in 31 days. Steve, did it look like it?
Yeah. Oh, God, absolutely. We looked tired. We looked leggy. And when Roberts went off, it looked even worse because there was absolutely no pace on the pitch. It was one of those where we had 11 plodders on the pitch, and we just thought get to the end of the game, minimal damage, and then hopefully have that good bit of rest that we need.
And Lukas Jukovic, I was only saying on Red Army Radio yesterday, I was saying he's a stat for you. Lukas Jukovic played 5 times against the Boro, going to be 6 when they come to the Riverside since he left. Never scored a goal.
When he was here?
Should he have kept my mouth shut, Paul?
Should have, mate. Yeah, absolutely.
I feel partly to blame for that.
Wholly to blame. No, I'm partly wholly.
Look, 2 good things about that. Lukas Jukovic scored. Look, it was a good goal. You know, it was a good goal. He made the lad crossed it in. He scored the goal. Didn't celebrate, Steve, did he?
No.
Just walked away, showed the fans and the club the respect, didn't he?
Yeah.
I like that in players.
Yeah, I thought it was a good touch. That I say it showed that he's still a place in his heart for the Boro. Yeah. He wasn't the worst striker when he was here, was he? You know, he scored some cracking goals, but if you want to go back to the goal, it highlighted the weakness we've got at the back because Housen had absolutely no chance in the air. Did he? As soon as the ball went in the air, we all knew what was coming. Which was going to bully his way to the ball, and he did. And
our only, shall I say, big centre-half and our only recognised proper centre-half was trying to close the ball down for the cross, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
So you sort of caught between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
But anyway, look, get involved. Send your messages in on social media. We're live on Facebook Live, as well as Teesside TV. So get your messages in, get involved, loads to chat about while we're here. Injuries, fellas, got to chat about them. First of all, Patrick Roberts, Steve, you hit the nail on the head. I think he's special, and I do. I hear the way that Jonathan Woodgate talks about him. I hear the way that other players at the club talk about him. Was there a little worry when you seen him limping off?
Yeah, I was gutted. It was quite early in the game as well, and he said it was just we were starting to really put the foot down, foot on the gas, and we were really starting to push Birmingham back, and then for him to go down as he did, I think it took a bit of the atmosphere out the stadium as well, because everybody just felt a bit deflated and thought, oh God, that's our star man at the moment. I know Fletcher's in form, he's scoring the goals, but he's making things happen, Patrick. So it was, we were all gutted watching him walk off.
Paul, is he a player? Bear in mind his age. I mean, he's been about a bit. He's been on loan at some big. I mean, Brendan Rodgers absolutely raves about him as well. Pep Guardiola loves him to bits. And doesn't have a bad word to say about him. But if he was available, is he a type of player? I hear talk about money with the Boro at the minute because there's not a lot to go around. But we'd have to break the bank for him, wouldn't we?
We would, but I don't think they'd sell him.
You don't think he's going to be up for grabs come January?
No, not at all. If he keeps putting in the performances he's putting in for us, other clubs will be sniffing around who've got more money than us.
Yeah, and on that note, you've upset me. But anyway, let's have a quick look at the social media, fellas. Loads coming in. Chris Lofthouse, the Quiff.
Who?
Mr. Chris Lofthouse, the Quiff. We know him from Red Army Social, Red Army Radio and Red Army TV. I was unsure about McNair taking it against Derby. Felt the same yesterday, to be fair. Well, Chris, you're very rarely right, never mind wrong. Alan, good evening, mate. He's just saying good evening, good to see you. Abraham Tanner, we need to hold our nerve. This is more where I expected us to be. Now, I think what Abraham's saying there is, I think before we had that horrible start of the season, and to be fair, we've chatted on here many times, I think luck wasn't on our side a little bit. Maybe Woody was feeling his feet with the way he wanted to play, and maybe said he was going to play and then thought, hang on, I haven't got the tools. What Abraham's saying is, this is probably more what we're looking at now, the way we're playing now is what fans expected. Would you go along with that, Steve?
How do you define how we play? Like, is this what Woodgate's promised? From what he said in June? Because, I mean, we all saw at Luton how promising we were. And then he said, was it about September, October time, I've got to go back to basics. I still feel we're doing the basics at the moment. Obviously, there's a bit of pace about us, obviously, when Patrick coming in. But I still think we're still trying to find our identity at the moment. And a lot of fans think that as well. Yeah,
and to be fair to him, he has turned it around, hasn't he? He's certainly the commitment, which we'll come on to in the second half of the show, the commitment from the players, the coaching staff are very, passionate,
lively,
shall we say, and lively. But just for, obviously, Dale Fry took a bit of an injury as well. What I have got to say to you fellas is that I've been looking at it before the show, and Patrick Roberts was a bit precautionary, so we're not too worried about Patrick Roberts, which I think is fantastic for us. And Dale Fry, again, is not looking too bad. How much of a miss would that be, Paul, to lose our only recognised centre-half?
We need a centre-back in. We've been linked with everybody. We need centre-backs.
We certainly do.
The cleaner will be going in next week.
Nathan Wood got a chance, didn't he? Wood got his chance. How do you think he done, Steve?
Well, I've said a few times when those 12-man boys have chatted, give the boy a chance. We've seen him a couple of times. He's promising. He's a strapping lad for a 17-year-old, isn't he? He's a big lad.
Big unit.
Yeah. He was composed. He was very good on the ball. Wasn't scared to pick his pass. Wasn't scared to bully players in front of him. So I thought it was a promising 60-65 minutes.
You only get experience by playing games.
Yeah.
It's just, has it come at the wrong moment for him to be blooded straight into the Boro first team when he should be out in a lower league?
Yeah, well,
somewhere playing his trade week in, week out.
Well, I agree with what Woody said after the game, and obviously Woody said that he's going to have a big future, not only at the club but in football. So he rates him, does Woody. And look, he comes from good stock. Obviously, his dad was a good player, but I agree with you, Steve. I thought he was very vocal for a young 17-year-old lad coming on, and he was very vocal. You could tell he was a proper recognised centre-half, chatting all the time, having a go at people, and also showed Lukas Jukovic a clean set of heels when he took the ball off him and ran away from him. Made him look a little bit silly. But I thought we lost our way a little bit when them two players went off. But look, lads, we've got loads to chat about. We'll have a chat in the second half. Great to see you here. Don't forget, get your messages in on the old social media. I'll read them out. And join me after this short break on Red Army TV. Welcome back to Red Army TV. Got Paul and Steve with me, chatting all things Boro, and hey, lots to still talk about. Fellas, obviously we were chatting just before the break. Boro won, Birmingham won. Couple of things coming on the social media. I'm going to come back to that very shortly. I just want to chat about the Ashley Fletcher goal, Steve. Obviously, I don't think I appreciated it enough when I seen it last night. Obviously, with what had gone on and players going off and things like that. I've then watched the highlights and I think to myself, Ronaldo scored a goal like that 5 or 6 years ago for Manchester United, and it was raved about. It was on every football show. It's still shown to this day. It was on every back page of every tabloid. No one's mentioned it. It was a great finish, wasn't it?
It was it was a number 9's goal, wasn't it? He got stuck in. He got into the area where you expect the number 9 to be, and it was. As I say, I didn't appreciate it because it was that quick when it happened, obviously during the game, because it was just in, goal, get back up the pitch, test it and get a second. But when you watch it back, that daft little flick, yeah, it was a special goal. It really was. It was superb. And
there's two things to it, Paul. Steve's at the nail yet again. He gets in front of his defender, so he muscles him out to get in front of the defender, and then to do the skill of taking the touch to flick it inside his own body, past the defender and under the goalkeeper. Special.
Instinctive finish, wasn't it? You can see how much confidence he's got now these days. I think that's his 7th goal in 15 games, almost 1 in 2. Yeah. His 9th game goal in total.
Now, obviously, we're going to have to talk about the latter part of the game. Like I say, I thought we lost our way a little bit when we lost Dale Fry and Roberts, and I'm not taking anything away from young Nathan Wood-Gordon who came on. I thought after probably 10 minutes he settled himself in and done really well for a young 17-year-old lad. I just thought we lost our way a little bit. But we then get the head injury to Tav. Let's start with that, shall we? Tav's going through. I don't think it was a foul. I'll be honest with you, I don't think it was a foul. I thought he was sort of nudged off the ball the first one and accidentally goes into the second defender. However, Paul, it is an head injury though, isn't it?
Yep, and the game should have been stopped straight away.
Steve, do you think the referee there, I mean, I've watched it back. Referee sort of turns his back and follows the ball. Do you think he was a little bit quick at not looking at the player? Or do you think the linesman could have helped him out?
Well, I was just about to say that. They're all mic'd up. They're all talking to each other. Why didn't the linesman that's on the left-hand side as you're looking at it from the north stand, he's looking at the incident. Lee Camp's waving his hands. A little word in the mic, telling the ref, you better stop this, there's a head injury. He was out cold.
Yeah.
I mean, he was on the floor, he was face down.
If the Birmingham City goalkeeper's waving for the medical team to come on.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, obviously, I've watched what Woody had to say after it. But obviously, and it's Woody's words, not mine, he calls it a fracas and handbags. So we'll have a chat about that. And basically, I've watched the highlights back, which only show you a little bit. Seen it live as well, but I think it was something to do with Leo, and I think Leo was trying to sort of get the referee and the linesman's attention. I think Woodgate was on his way down to speak to the linesman to say, look, this needs to stop. It's clearly a head injury. But the other coach who got involved from Birmingham, Paul, he used to be at the Boro, didn't he?
I believe he was, yeah. I think he was a fitness coach.
Under Gary Monk?
Under Gary Monk.
So I don't know whether that caused any
ructions between former teammates on the benches.
Exactly. But look, we know what Leo brings to the table. He's passionate, loves the club, and obviously, in Woodgate's own words, if Leo's in trouble, I'm going to go and give him a hand. And if you want to watch that interview, you can watch that interview, and that's exactly what Woody says. 2 red cards and a yellow. I think Leo got sent off. The guy from Birmingham.
Conditioning coach got sent off as well, didn't he? Pep Clotet. Yeah, he got sent off as well. And also the gaffer from Birmingham, he got a yellow card as well. Was it handbags? Or do you think the referee could have done a little bit better there, Steve?
I think he could have done better, couldn't he? Well, the 4th official definitely could have done better. It all started when Clotet ran on the pitch. You saw him giving the big guns, thinking Richard scored the winner. Then obviously he wasn't very happy that it got disallowed, brought back, and then obviously Leo stormed in, as he does. He doesn't exactly hold back, does he? He went straight in for Pep, and it was more than handbags, wasn't it? There was a few fists flying in there.
Just a bit of T-side aggro.
When I seen it, I was thinking to myself, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. There was basically both benches were at it, weren't there?
Well, even the players jumped in, didn't they? Obviously, the players looked at that and thought, I fancy a bit of that. They all flew in, didn't they?
So, I mean, I'm sure EFL, the FA, and the powers that be will bring some type of punishment down, let alone the red cards and the yellows. But I'm sure there'll be some type of sanction or punishment coming on to both clubs for that. But for me, I agree with what Woodgate said. I thought it was blew out a bit of proportion, to be fair. I think there was, at the end of this, we've got to remember that with a player, regardless whether it's a Boro player or a Birmingham player, down out cold, like you say, with an head injury, you've got the goalkeeper from the opposing side trying to wave people on. So I think common sense will probably prevail with that one. But look, as Woody said, it got the fans going.
Absolutely.
And that's what Woody said, it got the fans going. He talks like a Boro fan, doesn't he? He talks like a Boro fan. Bit of transfer rumour, fellas, before we go. I've got to have a chat with you because there's lots going on at the minute. First one, and it's only just broke tonight. I read it while I was on the old RedArmy radio next door. Leeds potentially in for Britta Sombolonga, Steve. They've had the fella from Arsenal go back. Paul, I'll let you say his name.
Eddie Nketiah,
that's right. Arsenal dragged him back, whether that's something to do with he hasn't had enough game time or not, but they're looking for a proven championship goal scorer. Leeds. Would we let him go, do you think?
No. Simple no. I think Leeds want a loan as well, don't they? They want a loan striker. And I think if we're going to let Britt go, it's going to be for cash, isn't it? We're not going to let one of our championship rivals benefit off a loan deal.
Well, bear in mind how much contract he's got left as well. We'd probably want the cash, Paul, wouldn't we?
Yeah. I mean, look, they've sent Arsenal took Nketiah back. Arteta's got the job there now. Leeds have had 3 bids for Shea Adams, knocked back from Southampton. So I think they're just moving on and picking players out whoever they want. It's probably just rumours. But I wouldn't let him go.
He's one I'll throw in the mix for you, though, fellas. I mean, we're talking cash for Britta Sombolonga, but do you think there's a chance where the Boro could say, well, I'll tell you what, you're not going to play them both. Bamford maybe come back to the Boro with a little bit of cash for Britt.
Not for me. Not for me.
Swap deal.
No.
Not for me in the slightest.
Takes him 10 chances to score a goal. We don't create 10 chances a game. We can't afford.
He's not the player he was.
Like that, no.
So we don't think Bamford, Steve, could fit into the way we play at the minute.
No, because you need a number 9 that's going to get himself about. And did Bamford really do that when he was here? He wanted the ball on a plate in front of him, didn't he? He wanted the ball. He always said, "Get the ball in front for me, in front of the goal. I'll put the ball in the net." But we need a number 9 that's going to run across the line, a bit like Negredo did, I suppose, when he was here a few years ago. Paddy's not going to do that.
Before we finish the transfer rumours off, fellas, just go quickly back to the social media. Mohammed Ibra's been on and says, looks like we're going backwards under Woodgate since the Spurs game. 6 games now without a win, guys. It is, but...
Did you say since the Spurs game?
Yeah.
It's only been 2 games.
Yeah.
The players are absolutely worn out.
Exactly. I've got to disagree with you there, to be fair. Was it more? I've got to disagree with you, mate. However, you just come back and say it's good to see Steve on a show, so that's all right. What else have we got? Fletcher seems to have really benefited from the new coaches. He's looking better and better. We've got to agree there, fellas, haven't we? And I think the type of football that Woody wants to play is starting to come through, and Roberts is a different level. Fletcher should be starting week in, week out for me. Great show, Mark. Thank you very much. It's not just
Who
me,
paid
it's
for that?
I must have threw out a free T-shirt or something there.
Absolutely.
Finishing the transfer, great comments by the way. Keep them coming in. The transfer rumours, last couple on. Ben Gibson's doing the rounds as well. They reckon the 7 championship sides have asked for loan deals. Burnley don't want to budge until they've got cover, Steve. Does that mean he's probably going to go anyway as soon as they get covering?
It looks like he's going to go, doesn't it? I mean, look at what Goodgate said last night. He wouldn't be drawn into what the rumours are, but he said he's a Boro lad, isn't he? That's enough for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agree, Paul?
Oh, I'd love to see him back.
And last but not least, I think we mentioned it there. I think you were busting to mention it. The lad from Bournemouth, Paul. We've been linked with him, haven't we? Defender from Bournemouth.
Jack Simpson.
Jack Simpson. I must admit, I don't know much
about him myself either.
But beggars can't be choosers at the minute, the way we going through defenders, Steve, can we?
No, we need cover, don't we? We've got one 17-year-old lad fit. That's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Premier League defender. Get him into the club.
Exactly.
Well, look, fellas, we've got 10 days. We're nearly over. Thanks very much for coming in. We've got 10 days now without a Boro game. Bit of rest and recuperation for the players. Get a couple of injuries back. And hopefully, I think we've got Tony Mowbray's Blackburn and a certain Stuart Downing heading to the Riverside Stadium in around about 10 days' time. But, gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. It's very much appreciated.
Thank you.
Hey, join me next week on Red Army TV. I'll have 2 more fantastic guests and we'll be chatting all things Boro. See ya.